You wanted children, didn't you? At my words, Hans looked at me with a face that said he couldn't believe what he was hearing after all this time. You didn't believe my words. And now, what is this all about? Hans's parents who are with him were flustered as well. Please forgive me, and the words from the man I once loved no longer resonated in my heart. I am Anne, 33 years old, a housewife in the second year of marriage. My husband Hans works for a company in the city center. We met at a friend's wedding party, and after a vigorous approach from him, we started dating 2 years into marriage. And we're still getting along well, and now I have the much anticipated baby in my belly. We'll find out the gender in the next checkup, right? Can I come with you on that day? Our parents are looking forward to it too. They often send messages saying they want to go baby clothes shopping as soon as they find out the gender. He said with a smile a girl would be nice too, but since Anne is pretty... I'm afraid if she resembles you, she might attract weird guys. I don't think so. I laughed at the time. In retrospect, that remark might have been the beginning of all of it. We found out that the baby in my belly is a boy. His parents aren't the kind of people who worry about having an ear. They were purely happy for us. Anne, what kind of baby clothes would you like? My wife told me that even if I choose something I like, if the mom doesn't like it, it won't be good, because she spends more time with the baby, said Hans's dad during a visit on the weekend, as they pampered me. But Anne, if you have any troubles, feel free to ask us. Okay, are you planning to recuperate at your parents' home after delivery? We're discussing that right now, I replied. And they said you should feel free to go to your parents' home if it makes you more comfortable and you can rest without restraint. What, you think I'm not reliable? I was actually considering taking paternity leave. You know, Hans sounded sulky. After childbirth, the body is more damaged. Then you think I couldn't trust this person? Because he didn't understand that. So I'm not sure if you could do it, his mother said, which made Hans sulk even more. I appreciated the sentiment though, but I don't want Anne to go back to her hometown. You're bound to meet guys from there, like classmates or something right there, or a few people I grew up with who still live there. So there is a chance I might run into them while I'm at... But I also have friends whom I can only see when I go back. I explained, but he responded, I don't want you meeting. Parents chimed in, calling him selfish. Although he tried to justify himself, I couldn't understand why Hans was being so insistent on this matter. This are unique to situations. As after his parents left, his mood didn't improve, and he kept asking if I was going to go back home, and if I was going to meet men that. I mean, don't you have female friends since childhood? I think it would be nice to let the kids meet when they are in town, although it might not be possible with all the childcare responsibilities. You're not planning to cheat, are you? Of course not. I would never do that. What are you thinking? There's no way I would consider cheating at a time when I'm looking forward to having a child with the person I love. I assured him, but he looked stern. What's going on? Something seems off, I said, but he replied, it's nothing, and went to the bedroom. After that, his behavior became increasingly strange, and I became filled with anxiety. Where were you today? You went out, didn't you? Fun. I told you this morning, didn't I? I was going to a mommy class. I had mentioned it during breakfast. It's a regular meeting with other expectant mothers where we share tips and advice on various aspects of pregnancy and childcare. It's an important place for expectant mothers. Today we learned how to give a bath. It seems I still need more practice to hold the head properly. I said. I was worried if my small hands could support the baby's head well. However, his response was, "That's a convenient excuse. You were actually meeting a guy, weren't you? There must be men attending those meetings too, right? What are you talking about? Of course there are couples who attend together. I even invited you before, remember? But you said you had work." I reminded him, but he threw his bag away in frustration. "Men don't need to learn that stuff," he retorted. "But there are dads who give baths too, right? And you don't want me to go back to my hometown, right? It'll be hard for me to manage everything alone. I think there will be times when I will need your help. Remember what your mom said that time? Those words were true, weren't they?" I said, trying to reason with him, but he brushed it off, saying, "Did I say something like that? I won't allow you to go back to your hometown. You're planning to cheat with some guy there, aren't you? Maybe this child in your belly is that man's child, huh?" For a moment, I was left stunned, unable to believe the words I was hearing. "What on earth are you talking about? When did you decide I cheated? You've lost it, haven't you? I love you. There's no way I would do something like that. What has gotten into you? Why would you think I cheated? Aren't we deeply in love?" Wasn't that true? Just then, I felt a sharp pain in my belly. It felt tight when I touched it. Stress during pregnancy is a major enemy. I can't wait to welcome our child, a child with my beloved hands. I loved Hans no less. But Hans, what happened to you? I became uneasy and reached out to his parents for advice. My mother-in-law seemed to have no prior knowledge of the issue, and she was concerned. "You're nearing your due date, aren't you? I'll focus on delivering the baby safely. I'll have a word with Hans," she assured me. Her words provided a momentary relief. Then it happened. "Welcome home, Hans." The baby was very active today, really lively. "What's wrong?" Actually, I greeted him as usual, but my greeting was met with silence, and he placed a piece of paper on the table. "Fill this out ASAP." And subterfuge, I turned off the stove where I was finishing dinner and went to the table to find a divorce paper. Why? I panicked at the sight of the already filled out divorce paper. I don't want a child with a cheating woman. I won't provide child support or acknowledge it. Just sign it and get out. No matter how much I pleaded, saying, "When did I cheat? Do you have any proof? It's your child." He wouldn't listen. His eyes were cold. My attempt to touch him was met with rejection. "I don't want to see your face anymore. Just in such a leave by tomorrow and hand this in." That with a slam, the door closed. The room fell silent. I couldn't hold back the tears that started to flow instantly. "Why? What happened? I haven't cheated. Why won't you believe me?" Hans, this is too much. Why won't you listen to me? Why decide this on your own? I want an explanation. Why did you think I cheated? I want to understand. I can't grasp what he's thinking. Please tell me. I sent emails. I sent numerous messages on text, but not even a read receipt was granted. Anne, are you okay? What the heck is Hans thinking? Upon contacting my mother, both of my parents arrived the next day. But when I got in touch with his parents, they seemed as shocked as I was, repeating that they couldn't believe it. Hans continued to ignore all communications. Ian, I'm really sorry for what my son has done. Regardless of the reason, it's inexcusable to shove a divorce paper without any discussion, said his father. His complexion visibly changed, truly unaware of the situation. When my mother asked, "Didn't you receive any information?" he said he only learned about the situation from my call. My daughter's coming home with us. If he wants a divorce, then refusing to provide child support is irresponsible. We'll need to reconsider, my father declared sternly. Hans's mother nodded, agreeing with my father, her head bowed. I know it's not his mother's fault. Normally, she might have sided with her son, but she showed concern for me. I packed my things, taking a last look at her home. The home filled with happy memories with Hans, full of laughter and minor squabbles. Outing and smiling, so many cherished memories. Why? What happened? Unable to hold back the tears, my mother hugged me tight. I'm so sorry, Hans' mother said, tears streaming down her face. Upon returning home, I seemed to have fainted from shock, and when I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital bed. I was told there was a risk of premature delivery and was admitted immediately. In a hospital room alone, I could do nothing but cry. Mom, it's okay to raise the baby at home after I give birth, right? I will look for a job once my life settles down. I'll try asking at the place I used to work before. I could only think this way after a week had passed. Just one message from Hans. That too was submit the divorce papers soon. I won't pay child support for a kid that's not mine. That was all. I haven't cheated at all. Why won't he believe me? And then, in utter despair, I went to labor earlier than expected. Congratulations, it's a healthy baby boy. My long-awaited child, whom I finally met. When I saw the child I had been waiting for, I was filled with affection and joy. Thank you. Thank you for being born. From that moment, I decided to live my life with this child after being discharged, so please pay child support. That's the condition for agreeing to the divorce. Then I received an angry call from him. That kid is a result of your affair, so there's no way he's mine. Don't joke with me. I won't pay child support. I'd rather ask for compensation. It was such a cold voice and choice of words that I wondered if this was really Hans. How many times do I have to say it? I haven't cheated. This child is yours. Why do you suspect me of cheating so much? If you say I cheated, do you have any proof? Saying this, he stuttered a bit. Don't tell me you accused me of cheating without any proof. You kept asking to go back home, saying you wanted to meet friends back in your hometown. It's obvious that the other person is there. You must have been meeting him there all the time. Going back home would mean you could meet him without restraint. That's just your imagination, not the truth. Why does the conversation jump from going back home to having an affair? We've always been in love, even before and after marriage. Where did you see any signs of me being interested in other men? While saying this, I felt my feelings for him cooling down at that moment. I was getting fed up with his selfish remarks. But for the sake of my beloved son, Voltaire, I should have the right to receive acknowledgement and child support. If Hans denies it to that extent, I'll make sure he can't escape. There's no need to doubt and go through DNA testing. My mother hesitated. I can say 100 that this child is Hans, but Mom, he won't admit it without proof. Without proof. I'm fine with getting a divorce, but for Ethan's sake, he must pay child support. That's necessary. Ethan is really adorable. Do his eyes resemble mine? A chin, isn't his mouth like Hans's? I wonder what kind of person he will become in the future. I want to be a mother whom this child can be proud of. Therefore, even if it's hard, I have to keep going. The time for tears is over. Seeing me like this, my parents said you will support you and helped me find an available daycare center. It's better to start looking and reserve a spot now. You won't be at ease if you decide to return to work, and there's no daycare available, right? In case it doesn't work out, we will take care of him and let us pick him up. My parents said. I decided to start looking for a job with peace of mind. Then a phone call came in. Hearing the contents, I was shocked, and at the same time, knowing why he took such an action, a surge of anger welled up in me. A month later, the results of the DNA test came out. After seeing the results first, I contacted Hans and arranged for a meeting with both families present. Why did you bring a lawyer? You brought the divorce papers, right? Regardless of his condescending attitude, I handed over the completed divorce papers. His parents were scolding their son, saying, "What an attitude," but he seemed not to hear their words. Also, please take a look at this. It's the DNA test result. He's annoyed, he exclaimed. You went through with it, huh? And took out the documents loudly. The moment he read the contents, he froze. I could see his face turning visibly blue. As the document states, Ethan is 100 Hans's child. I've told you over and over, haven't I? I haven't had an affair. But because you wouldn't believe me, I had to go through this procedure. I didn't want to. You understand now, don't you, that Ethan is your son? Take responsibility as a father. I'll be claiming child support. The amount isn't here. He was handed the papers by the lawyer. He was shaking uncontrollably as he looked at them. That guy is really an idiot. And I'm sorry for having such a son. Just feel free to claim alimony. I'll make sure he pays for it, his father said, bowing his head. It seems his parents had also been trying to hear the truth from Hans over the past month, reaching out to him multiple times. But he had been saying it's my business, and apparently ignoring their calls until today. He probably came today thinking he could divorce by handing over the divorce papers. It's clear what he's up to. Hans, with a blue face, started talking to me, saying, "Oh, listen, I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted that he was my child. I misunderstood. Can we start over? Let me help raise him," he said, smiling bitterly and nervously. I expected him to say that. You flip your stance and want to raise him together. Are you making a fool of my daughter? My father yelled. His parents were the ones who apologized in response to my father's words. X to them. As Han shamelessly said, "Well, that's what I thought, so it can't be helped, right?" Casing his stupid, unapologetic attitude. That's why I will not forgive this man. It's fine. I'll let you support the child. Really? Yes. Then the divorce is off, right? Went to Hans, who said that. I said, "Wait," and opened the door to the adjoining room. And holding a young boy, I made him hold the child. Thanks to Crewy. This is the child you'll be supporting. His name is Carl. What? Hans exclaimed. His parents looked confused, not understanding the situation. You know there is another person you need to take care of, right? Go ahead, and a slender woman with long black hair entered. You know her, right? Carol, Carl's mother, and you were the father. What? And the parents from both sides exclaimed, "How did you know?" But to the astonished Hans, Carol began to explain. I contacted you because the lady wasn't going to submit the divorce papers. I knew the contact details from the time I saw your smartphone. Yes, the person who called at that time was Carol. I heard about their relationship, the birth of the child, and their wish to get married, among other things, and when I agreed to separate once again. Hans's lies were exposed here. Hans, you told Carol I was a woman who didn't do household chores or cook, and that I belittled people. A woman who was emotionally abusive, right? Tables turned. His earlier bravado was completely gone. He was trembling, seemingly unable to even figure out how to respond. So, you deceived both me and Carol, wanting to have your cake and eat it too. This isn't a joke. Suspecting me of cheating while you were the one doing it. I had been hurt, accused of cheating time and again. Just when I thought I could finally start recovering, I discovered that he was cheating concurrently and a child was born just a month apart. You wanted to raise a child, didn't you? He looked at me with a face that couldn't believe what I said. You didn't even believe what I said till now. What's this all of a sudden? His parents who were with him were also flustered. Please forgive me. And, at the words of the man I once loved no longer resonated with me. Anne, I love you. It wasn't cheating. I genuinely love both you and Carol, so this isn't cheating. It's pure love. At these words, everyone in the room let out an incredulous what's in unison. You have no clue about what you've done. I don't have the slightest intention of starting over with you. That pure love you speak of. It's not called pure love in society. If you want to have I have a sincere relationship with so many women. Why don't you live in Nigeria, where polygamy is recognized? But Ethan is definitely your child. You need to fulfill your responsibilities as a father and pay child support at the very least, and take care of Carol and Carl too. I don't know if you will remarry. And Carol looked at him with a face full of disdain. It was all lies, wasn't it? Give me back all those happy feelings I had until now. I thought we could be happy together when Carl was born. Please take responsibility. The tears started to stream down her face. And she said to me, I heard that the marriage had broken down, and it was just a matter of filing for divorce. You were refusing to do it for money, but I was wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if I was asked to pay alimony. I will make sure to pay it properly. Unlike this person, I don't want to be irresponsible. And standing there, she already had the strong resolve of a mother. And I divorced hands. So later during the discussions, it was decided that I would receive both child support and alimony as a lump sum. I don't want to face issues like reductions or non-payment later, so better to get it all at once. That was one reason, but the main one was I didn't want to have this kind of fight anymore. Fortunately, I was able to find employment again at the place I worked before I got married. I'm very grateful that I can leave early while the child is small. I'm glad you're back. We were in trouble because we were running short of competent employees. You can leave at 4 p.m. while your kid is small. It would be unbearable if you quit again citing your child as a reason. My boss said that with a smile. My old colleagues also celebrated my return, saying, we want to work together for a long time, so let us know if you have any troubles, and we're here to help each other in times of trouble, smiling. Ethan was quiet at the daycare, which surprised both me and the daycare teachers at first. But when I went to pick him up, seeing him cry and ask to be held in both arms made me feel lonely, and I realized I have to work hard so that we don't struggle financially. I plan to use the alimony and child support for Ethan's tuition fees. I don't know what path he will choose in the future, but I don't want to let money be the reason he has to give up on something. As for Hans, after I pushed him away, he was told by his parents to take responsibility properly, and reluctantly filed for divorce 6 months later, marrying Carol. But by then, her affection for him had already faded, and their marital relationship was icy cold. He took on more work, working late into the night, and to repay the child support and alimony that his parents had covered on his behalf, he found himself buried in repayments. Even after loving each other so much, people's hearts can change. Looking back, there are times when I still feel the pain, but Ethan heals it for me. Occasionally, I receive messages from Hans's parents. He's for them, accepting Carol and Carl as the new sudden wife and grandchild seems challenging since Ethan and I were precious to them. Actually, Ethan was named after my father-in-law. I hope he becomes a sturdy and kind person like him. The father-in-law's name was Ethan, but being a police officer, He knew very well how to interact with a variety of people through conducting interviews and interrogations. I admired him for that. Oh, so that's why, betraying you who cares about us so much. What an unfilial son he turned out to be. I no longer consider him my son. Anne, I know it's asking too much, but could you let us see our grandchild once in a while? I readily agreed. I harbored no hatred or anger towards his parents. I just can't forgive him, was all I conveyed, to which they responded, absolutely, that's fine. Hans destroyed everything with his selfish delusions and affair. It seems that the affair became known at his workplace, and he is soon to be transferred to a remote location. I don't want to move that far, so please go by yourself. Naturally, continue to send child support, okay? Carol contacted me to convey this conversation. She too is a victim of this incident. Why did you choose to marry instead of receiving alimony and child support like me? I asked her after a while. She replied, I have frail constitution and cannot work long hours. Execution, I was told I had to give up on having children, but meeting him allowed me to have the child. I thought I couldn't have given my health and I need to protect and raise Carl. Just as I pondered and decided not to live in a loveless home for myself and Ethan, she too had considered her and Carl's well-being in her decision. That's why I didn't demand compensation from her. If filing for divorce means almost being free, it wouldn't be strange to start dating. But I guess neither of us anticipated getting pregnant at the same time. Throwing daily my child and the cold wife, yet not running away from the responsibility of what has happened is the atonement he can make now. It's unclear when he will fully atone, but he seems visibly worn down. This isn't what I had in mind. It seems to have become his mantra, but it was all his own doing. I hope he continues to regret his actions, working tirelessly in a loveless household. I won't let you feel happiness. I'll make him regret his actions forever, she said. Her words were a bit scary, but I agreed. Ethan turned too. Lately, he has started showing interest in various things, causing a ruckus every day. Both my parents and Hans' parents are utterly smitten with Ethan. Can I buy that? I frequently get messages asking to buy presents, while saying don't spoil him. I also appreciate the fact that he is loved by many, thinking it's good to have many people who love you. I'm very happy now. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you resonated with the content, please leave a positive rating and a comment.